Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today, we're diving deep into a world shrouded in secrecy, danger, and intrigue, the world of assassins. These are individuals who operate in the shadows, masters of deception and death, often changing the course of history with a single calculated act. We're talking about the real deal Jason Bournes and Agent 47S, but with a much heavier dose of reality and a whole lot more on the line. We're going to unpack everything from the historical roots of these skilled killers, tracing their origins back to ancient orders and shadowy organizations. We'll delve into the minds of some of history's most notorious assassins, examining their motives, their methods, and the lasting impact they've had on the world. Get ready to explore the dark side of humanity, folks, because things are about to get real. You gotta go back centuries to understand the roots of assassins. The original badasses, the Hashashin, a sect of Nizari Ismailis in Persia and Syria. Ultimate shadow warriors, feared for their stealth, masters of disguise, blending into crowds, and psychological warfare. Imagine a sultan thinking he's untouchable, then bam! Their name, Hashashin, comes from hashish. Legend says they used hashish before missions. True or not, it adds to the mystique. They weren't just mindless killers, driven by a cause, a belief system, fighting against injustice, corrupt leaders, willing to die for their beliefs. Their legends spread throughout Europe. They became the boogeymen of the medieval world. Kings and emperors were terrified of them. The legacy of the Hashashin is still with us today. They set the template for assassins. Deadly, disciplined, and mysterious. Let's talk about some names you've probably heard of. Assassins who've become almost mythical figures. John Wilkes Booth, the man who assassinated Abraham Lincoln. Shooting the president in a crowded theater, the country was in shock. Then you've got Lee Harvey Oswald. The assassination of JFK is burned into our memory. Did Oswald act alone? Was it a conspiracy? We're still debating it today. These assassins were catalysts. Their actions changed history, sparking wars and leaving questions. Gavrilo Princip's act ignited World War I. These stories are intense. Their actions still resonate today. It makes you think about the power of one individual to change history. Now you might think that assassins are relics of the past, but trust me, they're still out there. The world of assassins today, it's a lot more complex, a lot more hidden. We're talking about contract killers, hitmen for hire, operating in the darkest corners of the criminal underworld. These guys are ghosts, man. They leave no trace, disappear like smoke. They're masters of their craft, using the latest technology, the latest weaponry to get the job done. And then you've got the world of espionage, government agencies like the CIA and the Mossad, who sometimes employ assassins for what they call wet work. These are highly trained operatives, carrying out covert operations, eliminating threats to national security. It's a dangerous game, man, operating in the shadows. One wrong move, one loose end, and it's all over. The stakes are incredibly high, and the pressure, it can break even the most hardened killer. The methods assassins use, man, they're as varied as the assassins themselves. It can be something as simple as a blade, a knife in the dark, quick and silent. Or it could be something way more sophisticated, like a long-range sniper rifle, taking out a target from miles away with pinpoint accuracy. Poison, man, that's another classic. It's been the weapon of choice for assassins for centuries. Think about cyanide, ricin, polonium. These are deadly substances, man, capable of killing quickly and quietly, often leaving investigators scratching their heads. Technology has changed the game too. We're talking about car bombs, letter bombs, even drones equipped with missiles. The creativity and the ingenuity. It's pretty terrifying when you think about it, but here's the thing, it's not just about the tools, it's about the skill, the planning, the execution. A good assassin, they're like a predator studying their prey, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Hollywood loves a good assassin story, right? We've seen it all, from the cold, calculating hitman to the conflicted anti-hero. Movies like Leon, The Professional, The Day of the Jackal, No Country for Old Men, they all explore the dark world of assassins, the psychology of killing, the toll it takes on the soul. Then you've got John Wick, man. Keanu Reeves taking out bad guys with ruthless efficiency. It's over-the-top action for sure, but it taps into our fascination with these skilled killers. Video games too, they've embraced the assassin archetype. The Hitman series, Assassin's Creed, these games let you step into the shoes of an assassin, carrying out missions, taking down targets. But here's the thing, man. As entertaining as these movies and games can be, it's important to remember that they're just that, entertainment. The real world of assassins, it's not a game, it's brutal, it's unforgiving, and the consequences are very real. Now this is where things get really interesting and disturbing. What kind of person becomes an assassin? What goes on in the mind of someone who's capable of taking another person's life in cold blood? It's a complex question, man, and there's no easy answer. Some experts believe that assassins are born, not made. They're wired differently, lacking empathy, lacking a conscience. They see killing as just another job, a way to make a living. Others argue that assassins are shaped by their experiences, by trauma, by violence in their past. They've been broken, twisted into something dark and dangerous. Think about the training an assassin goes through, the desensitization to violence, the conditioning, the compartmentalization. It's gotta mess with your head, man. And what about the act of killing itself? The taking of a human life? How do assassins deal with that? Do they feel remorse, guilt, or do they shut it all out, bury it deep down? We often hear about the successful assassinations, the ones that changed the course of history. But what about the ones that failed? The attempts that went wrong? The assassins who missed their mark? These stories, man, they're often just as fascinating, just as full of twists and turns, and sometimes even more bizarre. Take the attempt on President Ronald Reagan's life by John Hinckley Jr. This guy, he was obsessed with actress Jodie Foster, and he believed that assassinating the president would impress her. Then there was the attempt on Pope John Paul II in 1981. He was shot 4 times at close range, but miraculously survived. The would-be assassin, Mehmet Ali Aga, his motives are still shrouded in mystery. These failed assassinations, they remind us that even the most carefully laid plans can go wrong, that fate can intervene in the most unexpected ways. Now let's talk about the world of espionage, a world where assassins and spies often operate in the same shadowy realm. Intelligence agencies like the CIA, MI6, the Mossad, they're tasked with gathering information, protecting national security, and sometimes that means eliminating threats. Assassins, or wet work specialists as they're sometimes called, can be valuable assets to these agencies. They're deniable, they leave no trace, and they get the job done. The Cold War, man, it was like a breeding ground for this kind of stuff. The US and the Soviet Union, they were locked in this ideological battle, and both sides were using assassins to eliminate rivals, silence dissidents. Even today, in the age of cyber warfare and drone strikes, assassins still play a role in international espionage. They're the ultimate weapon, the last resort when all else fails. When we think of assassins, we often picture men, but the truth is, women have been just as deadly, just as effective throughout history. They often used their perceived weakness, their ability to blend in, to their advantage. Take Mata Hari, for example. She was a Dutch exotic dancer accused of being a double agent during World War I. Whether she was guilty or not, she became a legend, a symbol of female intrigue and espionage. Then there's Charlotte Corday, a young woman who assassinated Jean-Paul Marat, a leader of the French Revolution. She believed he was a tyrant, and she was willing to give her life to stop him. These women, they were pioneers in a way, breaking down barriers in a male-dominated field. They were cunning, they were resourceful, and they were just as deadly as any man. Here's where things get really heavy, man. Let's talk about the ethics of assassination. Is it ever justified to kill someone in cold blood, even if they're a dictator, a terrorist, a threat to humanity? It's a question that's been debated for centuries, and there's no easy answer. Some people believe that assassination is never justified, that it's a violation of international law, a slippery slope that leads to more violence. Others argue that in a world where evil exists, where tyrants and terrorists threaten innocent lives, assassination can be a necessary evil, a way to prevent even greater bloodshed. Think about the assassination of Osama bin Laden. Was it justified? Did it make the world a safer place? These are tough questions, man, and there are no easy answers. The debate over assassination, it forces us to confront our own values, our own beliefs about right and wrong. It's a conversation that's as relevant today as it's ever been. So there you have it, folks. A glimpse into the shadowy world of assassins. From the ancient orders to the modern-day hitmen, these individuals have always held a certain fascination for us. Maybe it's their skill, their ruthlessness, or the fact that they operate outside the bounds of conventional morality. Whatever the reason, one thing's for sure, Assassins will continue to intrigue, terrify, and captivate us. They are a reminder that the world is a complex and often dangerous place where the line between good and evil is often blurred. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and watch your back.